So part 3 of these hinges. Yeah, let's get straight on with it, guys. Not much to do now.
Well, that's the 6 main bodies ready to roll. A bit of deburring left to do, but not much. I think I'll make the hinge pins next. Pretty simple job. So I got my piece of 8mm stainless up in the chuck. Really is a very basic part. So, what is 316 like to turn? Never done it before. It's a new material on me. Done lots in 304. Yeah, it's alright. So, very similar to 304. Feels a little bit tougher. But then, I don't know. This is the first. Okay. So, faced off, chamfered. Overall length is, was it 65? Yeah, 65mm. So, if I just pull myself out a piece 70mm long, there we go. Swap to the parting tool. I'm going to go a little bit shorter with these, so I'm going to part them off 65, and then I can come back then and dress them. So, nothing fancy here. 65 on the rule. Right. Proof of the pudding, parting it off. We'll see. Well, truth be known, nothing wrong with it at all. Face the next one. Jumper. Parting tool up at the ready, and we'll have the same again. Clamp him in the chuck at 70 and part him off at 65. Rinse and repeat 6 times. So I cut all 6, and basically I want them to be about 64.5 long. So if I just grab the calipers, I'll just measure this one, 64.9. So yeah, back in the chuck, touch off, take 0.4, set a 0, .4 off there in one cut. Back to the chamfer tool. Chamfer on the end, and there's one completed. I will be putting a groove in these, we shall do that next. So I got a B block set up in my vise here. A couple of clamps on the back just for why not. I've just set the cutter up centrally over the end. Basically brought the cutter up to a touch off against the paper. Set a 0, move over 3mm. It's a 6mm cutter. So I'm now centralised over the end. Now I want to put a flat on here to take the 6mm grub screws, hence the 6mm cutter. That way, if the grub screw is loose, even if it's not dogged down tight, at least if it's in the groove, the pin can't come out. And the centre from the edge of the block I put in was 7.5mm. So if I went over 7.5mm, that will hold the pin flush to the end of the block one end. But I've made the pin 0.5mm short, so if I go another quarter, or if I go 1/4 of a mil less, I should say, 7.25, I nearly messed up there. 7.25 lock X. I'm just clearing my clamp with my collet. Okay, so I'm just going to work my way down now to a touch again. Well, this stuff turned alright. Let's see how it melts. Okay, set a 0 on my quill. I'm going to come down, I don't know, come down 0.2, see what size flat it puts on. Same again, I reckon. 0.4. I can see this being 0.5. On the little rod, as a datum, yeah, it wants a bit more. But I might go more again. .5, I think more like 0.75 we're going to go. We'll see. The cutter's running a bit slow. Let's go 0.75 there. Just lock the quill there. I think that will do me. Bring it all out the way. Take the part out. And there's a little flat then on the shaft to take the grub screw. Can you see that? Yes, you can see it. Okay, 5 more of those to do. I'll just show you the setup. Slide the pin in, 1, 2, 3 block against the back and push it back. Tighten down 2 clamps. This time, let me get my little pot of cutting fluid. I'll just put a little bit on there. I think we'll take it off in one pass. Simples. Only 4 more to go. And just bringing you back on the last one, it's one of those occasions where it took longer to set this up than it did to do the job. But I think it was worthwhile doing rather than sort of spotting a hole through or something like that. But yeah, 2-minute job, literally. So just running the reamer through by hand. Clean out any dirt that might have got into the holes and burrs and what have you from all the slots. Seems good. Got a slight burr being thrown up in that hole there. I'll have to get a file to that. Anyway, let's just try one of these rods. Lovely. Line up the flat. Push him in just below surface. Looks good. One of the little grub screws. I'm not going to lock tight these in at this stage. I think in case they need to have anodizing and all that sort of thing. We'll leave it so that it can be taken apart. Okay, so hinge pins work well. I need to do something about deburring the inside of these holes, but we can sort that out. So a little sketch. The straps are going to be 23mm by 46. It's 10mm stock, or it's about 9.8. And as you can see from the drawing below, there's going to be two holes, 23mm centre, M8 reamed again, and the ends are going to be radiused off. And then I'll probably put a nice radius all around the outside edges as well. So I've just hacksawed off 6 of these, about 48mm long. I got one up in the vise, as you can see, and you'll probably notice that there's a bit of a bevel on one edge, well, on both edges, one edge worse than the other. So I'm just taking a 1mm cut off the one that's got the better of the two bevels, and then that leaves me 1.3, 1.5mm off the other side. As I say, there's not much in it. So got a 12mm cutter for this 10mm stock. Let's just come over to a touch, straight in with a 1/2mm cut. Take a 1/2mm off, and then I'll take two 0.25mm cuts. Take it out, swap to the next one, and I'll be one face of all of them done. I'm not going to be machining the width. I've made the slot to suit this stock, and it is pretty consistent. So just run off to one end, pass Travis back, .25 cut, and away to go. So I've done 6 all on the one side, all to the same depth. They're going to vary a bit. I've just measured up this first one, and it's showing that there's 1.2mm to come off. So I'm going to do a 0.5 cut, 0.5 cut, take it out, measure it, and then finish it to whatever size, or to the size I should say. But I'm just going to check when I've done 2.15 cuts as to the actual dimension. Once I've got a reading on the quill DRO, I'll do them all to the same reading. And in this operation I am tapping them down onto the parallels, and I'm having to take the parallels out and clean the vise every time, but hey ho. Just realised that the cutter was off to one side, so I've re-centralised it, measured up 0.27. So I'll just come down 0.27 on my quill DRO. There. That's 0.28. I'm not worried about that at all. So I'm going to set a 0 there. I could probably, if I take it nice and gentle, leave the setting and just buzz the rest of them straight off of that setting. It's only 1.2mm. What's that, 50 thou? Sure, it would be absolutely fine. I'm going to finish machining this one now. I'm going to pop it out, measure it just to make sure, and I think I will do exactly as I just said. Leave the setting where it is and bang them off in one hit. Might slow the feed down a touch, but I'm sure that would work. That'll be absolutely fine. It's not pushing too much. So I'm going to let that run off the end. I'm not going to bust Travis across the top, because that'll leave a pattern mark on the top, which that's finished size, theoretically. This brush, it's one of those packs from Lidl's. They're only like £1 for 5 different brushes, so why not make good swap brushes. So I've just checked it. Let's see if I can bring him into shot. 23.99 or 22.99 I should say. 23. Yeah, if I squeeze a bit harder I can get 22.99, so happy with that. I'm going to leave that setting and do them all like that. Yeah, 1.3 mil off in one hit. Plenty of oil on there, a bit on a cutter. Bit smoky, but job's a good one. So that's all 6 blocked up to size now. I'm just going to square up one end. Do I need to square up both ends? You see, the thing is, if I square up one end, I've got a datum. I can pop the 2 holes in, and I'm going to be using the holes as the register for turning the ends circular. So that said, the one end is all going to be machined away, so do I need to machine both ends? Or is that just wasting time, as it's all going to be machined anyway? I don't really need to machine the other end. I can push the one end up against the datum, the machined end, the end I'm doing now, and leave the other end flapping in the wind, as it were. I may bring them in somewhere near, just to take a bit of material off them, because they are a few mil over length. But strictly speaking, I wouldn't need to machine the other end. Okay, let's have a bit of oil on the situation. Just a bit on the cutter will do it. So no registration for these parts, just hang them out the ice and give them a quick flash over. There we are, that's cleaned up. So swap him over for another one now. I'm miles away from the cutter. Yeah, that's cleaned up. People say, oh, your hands are close to the cutter. I'm miles away from it, you know. And the area where I'm working, I can touch against a collet, no problem. So there's no great danger. There's no fear of me getting my hands in that cutter at all. Sometimes, not so much from this angle where you are, but from some angles it looks like I'm close. I'm going to talk on another subject in a minute. We've all seen the videos of people getting long sleeves caught in machinery, blah de blah. Yeah, big lathes, I agree. Certainly loose fitting clothes is not a good idea. Somebody commented the other day and said, oh, if you'd seen the video I'd seen about somebody wearing long sleeves, you'd never wear long sleeves when operating machinery. So expect me now in a shed, which is, in fact, the temperature outside is 0. Temperature in here is probably about 5 degrees, maybe. To be in short sleeves. If you're sensible, not a problem. I've got my cuffs done up. You can see here. I haven't got them flapping about. Let's just show. If I had the button undone, something like that, then yeah, that's sort of loose clothing. Would be a bit daft. But I've nothing against wearing sleeves on lathes, milling machines, anything like that. Just not loose, dangly clothing. I mean, you know, the tool makers of old would have been wearing a shirt and tie, and or some of the places I've worked, a white coat, a work coat. So yeah, this business of not wearing long sleeves on machinery is complete BS, in my opinion. If you want to walk around in short sleeves in cold temperatures, but truth be known, in the real world, long sleeves are worn on machinery.
plus the extra fact that with sharp edges around and that sort of thing, that needs a little bit more. Less likelihood of cutting yourself if you're wearing long sleeves, you know, catching your elbow on a corner or something. Anyway, rant over. I did say I wasn't going to machine the other end, or I had thoughts about not machining it. Yeah, handy little trick. By stops. In this instance, I got a toolmaker's clamp firmly clamped on the rear jaw. It's away from the job and what have you, no problem at all. Gives me a fixed point to slide the part up against. So this is the first one now. I'm looking for 46 long, and I've got 46.46. So 0.46 to come off, and I can do them all to the same reading again. Yeah, things like Kurt vices and what have you, we've got an upstand on the jaw where the jaw sticks up, and you can have a little block which clamps on the jaw, and you can move it around. I could have a fixed finger on the table, something like that, which I haven't got. I haven't made one of those, so I've always been tempted to make one. But yeah, I mean, I use this method. If the job's sticking out the vise, I normally clamp a 1, 2, 3 block. But this is another, you know, another way of doing it. And I've just totally forgotten. I think it was 0.46. Oh, dear me. 0.45, okay. So I'm going to take 0.45 off there now. I'm just going to reach across the shot. Whack the 0 function on my X. And I know I got 0.45 mil to come off the length. So I've just finished machining the last one to length, and it just struck me while I've got this set up, I know this reference datum here, 12mm cutter, so if I moved over 6mm I'd be on the edge of that. So it's a good time, you know, just while I've already got that, to bash the 2 holes through here, 8mm reamed holes. Yeah, bash them through. So last step with these. Plenty of lube, and ream it out. In fact, one more step after this is going to be to put a little countersink in either side, but that's just putting a countersink in either side. So I've been playing with the whole setup to make these, and put the ends on. As you can see, I've done, well, in fact, I'm on the last one now. Let me just explain how I've done it. I didn't bother knocking the corners off, and I made up a little hurdy-gurdy here. So I got a piece of the 8mm shaft in the V in the vise, a piece of plate with a handle on, which was just a piece of scrap I had lying around. The dowel sticks through, the dowel stays still. I put an M6 hole in here, and I can basically just pop the part on, square it up to the outside just by eye, something like that, and clamp the part to the handle. Now I will admit, when I've machined these, when I drilled the holes, I must have had the hole offset. My centre finder let me down. I want it right smack bang in the middle. So I've got a little step on one side, but no problem, I can just machine that off flat. And the other side, yeah, works out correct. So I'll be machining off the little step on the top of there. But it's all in fresh air anyway, it's just clearance. So the way this works, I got a nice small cutter, about 8mm. I'll just come into my aluminium block, which is a sacrificial block. Just see where we are. Right, I'm missing both, well, I'm just catching up one corner, so this is the offset. So I think I'll let this speak for itself. Not climb cutting with this, so I'm going back to start, pulling around anti-clockwise. Go back to start. Doesn't take very long this. I think I'll just let it speak for itself. When the peak there, or the flat on the peak disappears, on that 90 degree, that's pretty much my finished size. So that's about it. I'll come round to square. Just come back very slowly this time. And square again. I think I can take a little more off that. Okay, so there, one back out. That's just taking a little smidgen off the aluminium, and that's basically one end done. So just clean it off now, get rid of any swirl. That's the wrong Allen key. I'm using a 3/16 Allen key in a 6mm bolt there. I have got the 5mm Allen key here. Now there's the little step on the one side where it's offset, the holes are offset to the part. Use the correct Allen key this time. And repeat the procedure. So I've just tried to put one together, and yeah, I had to take off the end base, the square face, 0.5mm. And I'm just dressing the rad back in to give me a full rad. I was aiming a bit close on tolerances. These are fresh air parts. All the sole purpose of the end of these radiuses and the ends of these are to avoid the ones on the other part. So they're in clearance basically. So they do need a little bit more, because they were rubbing on the way round. So the straps are fitting in, as you can see, working nicely. The rod's in, the screws clamped. Bring the other half up. That fits. All that remains is me to get the pin in. You can see a bit of dirt down in there. Maybe not. Come on. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, that's in. Tighten the screw. Okay. Okay, so a bit of fettling later. As you can see, they all work absolutely fine. Happy days. I think other than a bit of polishing, we're done. Well, there we are. That's the hinges all done and dusted and working nicely. Quite enjoyed that little job. Anyway, as usual guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and we will see you all very soon. Cheers now.